that. Now, making headlines today are government plans to attempt to increase social mobility. They want to break down the pattern that has seen top jobs dominated by those from privileged backgrounds. Gordon Brown says he plans to unleash a wave of social mobility, adding, "I believe in an aspirational Britain. Lawyers, doctors and bankers will be ordered to be less elitist by taking fewer middle-class recruits." Do you think this move is actually necessary? Do you think class is still an issue today?
I do. I honestly do, and I think it is an issue, and I think it's a good thing to encourage people, to inspire, and I think that if this can move the class system out, then great. But when I was growing up, it was very apparent, because I was confused. I sort of still am, really. We were looked on, because my dad was a policeman, and I suppose we had nice-ish things, you know. I went to a school in quite a run-down area, but I connect with. I had always have had friends from all walks of life. I don't care what they've got, what their parents do, where they live. I'm not bothered about that. It's about the person. However, when I was growing up, it was made sort of clear to me, I suppose, because you do tend to stay in groups, don't you, at school?
So would you say when you were younger you were more aware of the class system as it maybe was then? I think people used to look on
us, yes, as maybe we were middle class. But what does that mean? I don't know. But I think it's to do with money and what you've got and how big your house is, quite frankly, which is wrong.
I think the class system's changed completely from when I was a kid.
In what way?
I don't actually think we have a class system. I think we're fairly classless now. I think it's more to do with how much money you've got. Whereas when I was a kid, I came from a very working class area, South Yorkshire. My family were all either miners or some steel workers, a lot of railway workers. My dad was on the railways, my mum. And there was a kind of pride about it, actually. And the working class people that I knew were very aspirational in that they wanted to be better educated. We had a thing called night school that, you know, a lot of my parents certainly, and a lot of their friends and family members went to night school. There was a thing called the Working Men's Association where you could go and better yourself, educate yourself, and a lot of working class people wanted to do that and did. And there was a whole culture around being working class. There was music that was special to us, and it was lovely. And I don't think that exists now. I think we've got poor people.
So what would you say about someone? Well, yeah, somebody who works in a factory in a manual job and lives in a council house. Would you not say that they were still working class?
Well, I don't think there are no council houses and very few factories. I mean, manufacturing industry was decimated, as we all know.
But there are a lot of poor people, and
there are poor people, but they're not necessarily working class, just because they're poor.
Well, no, but you see, this is the grey area, isn't it? Because I'm not quite sure, because I do some work for charity Children North East, and I was horrified to see that the North East, where I'm from, obviously, has the highest rate of child poverty in this country. Now, I would consider where those people live in those conditions are still working class. It's interesting, though, because Tim now, obviously, he has done well as an actor, and we have we have a nice house, but he still maintains that he's working class. He just says that no matter what, if he had £1 trillion, he would still maintain his working class roots, and that's who he sees.
I think that's quite a northern thing as well, though, because in Scotland, my family very proudly comes from working class background. I'm very proud to say my granddad worked on the ships, my granny worked in the canteen serving the men who worked on the ships.
There's more manufacturing going on in the north.
But there was a real pride in what you did. I think what we're talking about now in terms of a class system is we're not necessarily... I agree with you, Lesley. I think it's more to do with money, and there are people now who...
We're not encouraging trades anymore. We're not encouraging girls to do apprenticeships
and be proud of what you're doing.
Everybody can go to university. And I think what Gordon Brown, just going back to what we came off at the top of the show, I think that, as you say, aspiration is wonderful, and to inspire people and to give them the same opportunities as sort of middle-class people. But at the same time, I don't therefore think it's fair on the middle-class people, if they are as qualified for the job, to be pushed aside purely because somebody from working class...
But I don't get this thing about middle-class children being more likely to get the top jobs. I don't understand that, because I just know, because my nephews have been going for job after job recently, and friends of mine whose kids have qualified, and they're all getting really good degrees, but what sorts them out is the ones that are determined, the ones that really want the work, the ones that are able to still push themselves forward. And I think there's nothing class driven about that. It's about the individual's
when you used
aspiration.
to talk about, you know, different classes, a lot of it was to do with what the different jobs were that, say, the man of the house had, and a lot of that, you know, we're talking about manual labour or what have you, or trades. But nowadays, I don't think it is to do with that. A lot of the children who are going to private schools, their parents are what we would call people who work... lorry drivers, plumbers, builders, or taxi drivers, what have you. And I think that's a good thing, because it means then that children whose parents come from a whole diverse range, you'll get kids whose dad's a plumber mixing with kids whose dad's a barrister, but everybody's trying to push their children forward and give them the best possible start in life. It doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and I think as long as people, you know, get the chance to do that and push their children forward, then
it's
it's
being allowed
a good
the opportunities if they want them.
Absolutely.
We're not going to do that.
OK. Time